Welcome to FitBody Lifestyle, the show where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, business, relationships, and the art of living a balanced life. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Greg, and we're here to give you the benefit of our experiences in the fitness and bodybuilding industry, the corporate world, running a business, personal development, and building healthy relationships.
Whether you're sweating it out in the gym, hustling in your business, or seeking balance in your everyday life, you're in the right place.
So lace up those sneakers and grab that water bottle, and let's get ready to transform our minds, our bodies, and our lives. Hello, FitBody Lifers. Welcome to another episode of FitBody Lifestyle, and we have a very special guest here today, which I will introduce in a moment. I did want to talk about the topic for today, and then this is going to be a two-part series where we're really focused on lifestyle and lifestyle athletes and how we can then translate competition principles into a successful lifestyle habit or successful lifestyle. We are joined here, of course, by my love of my life and the most important person in my world, which is Jamie D, Mama Bear. And we have Miss Hana DeVore, aka High Definition, aka IFBB Pro, aka
OG FitBody Fusion, coach and athlete.
Yes. And
Yes.
do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. OG, I've been on the team for a long time.
We're figuring it out this morning.
Right. We're trying to figure out how long I've been coaching. We're thinking it's almost 10 years, which
Yeah.
is super cool. I think I'm somewhere around 9. And I started off coaching lifestyle only because that was part of this mentorship of, working under you and, eventually transitioning into competition coaching. But I really started off with lifestyle, and that was my bread and butter. And then I got to work my way into competition. I've been competing now for a little over 10 years. And like I said, coaching for about 8 or 9 years. And I coach both competitors and lifestyle clients. So my roster is kind of split. With competitors, of course, there's more time involved. So I tend to actually coach more lifestyle clients, and then I keep my competition roster just a little bit smaller because they require, more travel, posing, all of that. So I have a pretty diverse roster. I believe really strongly in my lifestyle clients, like what we were just talking about, which we'll get into about them oftentimes working in silence. Lifestyle is not quite as flashy as competition, but it's really impactful. It's really profound, what we're able to do. And I'm always rooting for our lifestyle clients because we know that, on the competition side, like, they're going to get their roses. Like, there's going to be tons of content, and there's going to be the competition weekends. And then for the lifestyle clients, they really are. They're just making it a lifestyle. They're making it their day to day. But there's so much profound work that we do with our lifestyle clients. And I want them to kind of have a platform, and I want to talk more about it. So I think it's really
I loved when you brought this topic up because I agree. Like, we talk so often about the competitors, and what's cool is how much you've been able to really translate a lot of the things that have been tools in the competition over to that lifestyle area. And that's what I'm excited. And when you brought up talking about that, I think it really makes so much sense because competing is a phase of life.
Mhm.
So we need to be able to transition at some point into lifestyle, even if we are competitors, or maybe we're never going to compete and that we just want to form a great lifestyle to begin with. So whether it's somebody who's transitioning, eventually going to transition into lifestyle, or somebody who, has looked at the competitors and said, wow, I really want to look like that. How do I create that lifestyle? I think this is going to be a great podcast for them.
Right.
And so we're splitting this into a two-part series.
Yes.
So the first episode and this is kind of the bluff or bottom line up front. We're going to talk about.
We're going to bluff them.
We're not. We're going to give them the
bluffing.
bottom line up front. We're no bluffing here. 2 Fs. Bluff is 1 F.
1 F.
And we're going to talk about what is the lifestyle client and some of the principles and concepts around that. And then in part 2, we're going to talk about life events that really fold into that lifestyle approach and how we as an organization can help, but also what you might want to be looking for. And so we'll get into that in episode 2. I don't want to tee up too much of that.
Yeah.
Hana, before we start,
Mhm.
what's your check-in word?
My check-in word. Excited.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm always excited about my lifestyle clients. Absolutely. And it's funny when I brought up this idea. Do you remember when I brought this idea up?
Mhm.
We were sitting at the table at the Olympia,
Mhm.
right? So I'm at the Olympia with you guys. We're checking in the top level pros, like in the world. I'm watching Jordan and Amy and Alice and these girls check in, and I'm absorbing everything that I can from you guys. But also, I still have to do my own check-ins, or I still have to do my work. So I took a break and I went and I'm sitting on my computer and I'm checking in my lifestyle clients. But things that I'm hearing from, what's happening with the Olympians are trickling in. We're over here talking about like electrolyte imbalance, and we're talking about sodium and potassium, with these really high level athletes. And then I'm going over and checking in my lifestyle girls and I'm saying, hey, let's talk about like your potassium this week. Here's what I'm seeing. So there's so much that when you are on a team with some of the highest level bodybuilders, some of the most precise, consistent people in the world, disciplined people in the world, you don't have to do that. You don't have to have the same goals. You don't have to do the same things that they're doing, but you're going to absorb some of that without even trying. And usually the coach is the bridge. I feel like I'm kind of the bridge between the competitive world and the lifestyle world. And I can come to my lifestyle clients and say, hey, here's what's really working over here. Hey, here's a little secret. Here's a little tidbit that the average person is just not really going to get to gain if they're not on a team with these people. Like, isn't it wild that a you can be a working mom in a rural town who just wants to get in better shape, and you can be on the same team as freaking Amy Delgado? Like, that's great. Like, what an opportunity. That's wild. So, that's like saying I want to learn how to sing, and I'm going to go join a club with Celine Dion. Like, you know what I mean? Like
That's true.
the access
Right.
is incredible. Being able to be in the same circle, even if you're not training directly with her, or even if you're not talking to her, you're still going to absorb. It's just, you are what you surround yourself with. So I'm really proud of our lifestyle clients for even taking the leap and saying, I'm going to do this super scary thing. I'm going to actually join a freaking advanced bodybuilding team because I know that I can absorb some of that. I might not do all of it, but I'm going to take in some of it. I think that that's just a really brave step, first of all. So I think it's super cool when people come to us and they say, hey, I don't want to compete, or I don't have the capacity to compete. That just doesn't really fit into my life. But I want to take what I'm doing to the next level. And I don't want to just do another fad diet. I don't want to just Google what to do. I don't want to find out what I should be doing from social media, which is near impossible to even know what, there's too much noise. Like, what
Yeah.
should you be doing?
I was thinking that as the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking about how we have information overload.
Yeah.
I feel
Yes.
like there's so much information, and sometimes it's so confusing to weed through it and figure out like what applies to me, what doesn't apply to me. Even with AI today, I see a lot of people talking about, oh, I'm just going to get a diet from AI or whatever, which is really interesting because we've played around
I
with
played
it
around with it too.
and
There's
gotten
some bad
incorrect information
Yes.
from the AI. So
Right.
people are thinking, and which is kind of scary because people think,
Yeah.
oh, well, that must be the answer. And in
Right.
reality, I've literally had basic math be incorrect
Yeah.
and ask the AI, why are these macros incorrect? This doesn't add up. That, oh, you're right. That doesn't add
Right.
up.
It always
And
goes,
then
"Oh,
give me
good
a wrong
catch."
answer again.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yep.
that's still incorrect. This
Right.
is, oh, you're right. It's
Yeah.
just kind of interesting because
Right.
I think what you're saying, it really makes so much sense because, what we've had the opportunity to do over so many years is be able to real world with, athletes that are applying things with a very high level of detail, be able to use different techniques and do different strategies to figure out what works the best. So then we're able to then kind of boil that down,
Yeah.
teach and translate it to somebody who may not want to track at that level
Mhm.
or be as detail oriented as, like you say, our top athletes,
Yeah.
but can still use
Yeah.
the strategies and the
Tidbits.
techniques to then right,
Right.
to apply to their lives in a way that works. And
Yeah.
just knowledge is power.
Yeah. And as coaches, what we do is we drown out the noise and we say, don't listen to any of that. I'm going to get to know your brain, your body, your challenges, your life, your capacity, your schedule, your health. I'm going to look at as deep as your labs. Like, we're going to go deep. I'm going to get to know you so well that I can tell you Don't listen to any of that. Here is exactly what you need. So I always tell people there's no two people on this team, including the bodybuilders, that are on the same plan, because we are all very different.
Individualized.
We have different goals. We have, of course, different bodies, different schedules, different needs, capacities. So no one's on the same plan. And the coaches really just narrow it down to exactly what should you be doing.
Well, and I think what I would say is that this is personal. And it's personal to us and it's personal to you. And it should be personal to you. I mean, it should be something you care about. It should be something that you want. That's really part of what's going to formulate the good habits that flow from this is that it's got to be personal. And as good as chat may be, as good as AI can be, and having a history of everything you've ever said, look, if you put something in on chat on January 1 and it's now July 1 and it pulls your history on January 1, man, you could be in a completely different spot than you were on January 1. And I'm not saying it doesn't have a place. I
It's a
am
tool.
saying
Yeah.
it is just like everything else. It's a tool, but man, there's a human element that goes with this, and as human as AI. I mean, we've all heard stories of people marrying their AI or wanting to marry their AI, and man, there's all
Can't
this
wait
now
to hear
this
more of that in the
robot
future.
thing, and people
I'm
wanting to
sure.
get robots. Man, the life is really about connection,
Human
and
connection,
and
yeah.
and that human
AI is
connection.
very agreeable. It might be more agreeable than you. Maybe I should start like
Well, it's
I'll
funny.
tell you, you're right.
You
You're
can
right.
actually turn that off.
oh, you can?
You
So
can, yeah.
I
There's a
didn't know
setting.
that.
There's a setting where you can. Do you remember, like in our car, how you can turn on different settings of what you want for
Yeah.
the Grok, which is
But I
the
want it
Tesla?
agreeable.
Well, then you got the right one, because I think it defaults to that. But you can turn that off, and I did turn it off. And then what I found is everything was prefaced with, "This is the no nonsense bottom line, no filtered," and it's like, do you have to, with every single
Yeah.
response? And it's like,
Yeah.
and I had to say, stop telling me that. I don't need you to keep reinforcing the fact, or when it was on the nice version, great question, you're really down there. I mean, I
It's
don't,
being too
and
nice.
and it was too nice. And
Yeah.
so, for me, yeah, I'm tailoring it and stuff, but at the end of the day, man, it's that human connection, that human
Yeah.
interaction, that human component to it, that I, as good as chat will be, it will never be as invested. And I can say this without a fact for all of our coaches. Our coaches look at your outcomes personally, just as personal, if not more so. There is nothing that satisfies our heart and our fire more than when we help you get to your goal, whatever that goal is.
Mhm.
You're not, okay, do you want somebody in your corner? Man, that is awesome. I'm cheering you on. And somebody on a FaceTime call or whatever that just has that real personal thing. Or do you want AI to tell you, fantastic job, great job, you're a winner, you're a superstar? Well, okay, what means more to you?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is a personal thing. The first four letters of lifestyle are life. And this is part of what we are not in the business of, AI. We are in the business of life. We're in the business of helping you achieve what you want to achieve through life,
Yeah.
and building those habits that and now allow you to be successful. And I mean, I think it's one of those bittersweet things is when we've coached somebody long enough and they I'm ready to fly on my own. And that,
Right.
and what I find is some of those clients will leave and then they come back and they say, I needed the structure, I needed
Yeah.
the accountability, whatever they need. But some people will not, and they
Yeah.
will be successful because they've spent that time building
And
it.
to us, that's a win.
That's 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
I've had
That's
clients leave and feel equipped to go do this on their own, or at least do a version of it on their own. To me, that's a win, because that means that I put tools in their toolbox. I gave them something. I gave them sustainability. I gave them that long-term thinking. I gave them tools and skills.
Mhm.
And if you can tell me like, hey, I think I can go try this on my own, that's a massive win for both of us. I
Mhm.
would say that we did what we needed to do. And then if if down the road they want to come back and they need the support again, great. A lot of the time, they'll just message me and just be like, hey, I just want to check in. I just want to let you know that I'm doing great. I had a baby, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm friends now with former clients, which is super cool. So yeah, so that's a win. And back to the humanness, like that's what I love about this team is that everything, even with our bodybuilding clients, like there is such a layer of humanness and meeting the client where they're at. And that's what we have to do with lifestyle. There is no one plan or one strategy that's going to work for everyone. So we meet them where they're at. And I think of this fitness stuff and precision and consistency. I kind of think of the athletes on a spectrum, and on one end we have the hardcore, the Olympians, the most precise, the most disciplined, the most consistent. And over here on the very far end, we have the average person who just kind of wants to get in shape. And they're like, I want to lose 5 pounds, or I got to get back in the gym, that kind of, but there
Or
is,
my doctor told me that I
right,
need to
right,
improve my health
right.
markers.
And
Or
there's no consistency and there's not really a plan and they don't really know what to do. They're overwhelmed. And it's just, where on the spectrum do we want them to fall? I'm not going to push them all the way over to what the bodybuilding client is doing, but I'm going to try to bring them in somewhere in around the middle, wherever it works for them. And all of these clients are really different. So I have to meet them where they're at with the challenges that they have, the schedule that they have. I have some lifestyle clients who train twice a week. And some people might think that that's not enough. That is perfectly enough for that person. That is what they can keep consistent. That is what's measurable. That's where I can get data.
That's
That's
about where
where
I
they
am.
can feel. Sure, you're a great lifestyle client.
I mean, I am. I actually
But yeah.
am. And you're absolutely right. And
Yep.
I get huge benefits out of 2 workouts a week.
Of course, you can. If that's what you're going to keep consistent, and if that's what your coach can program for you, and they can measure that on a weekly basis, then there's no problem with that at all. So I'll have lifestyle clients be like, I'm sorry, I wish I could do more. And I'm like, totally fine. My job is to fit this into your life. It's not your job to fit your life into my plan. My job is to tailor it. So when I write a training program, I start with a blank piece of paper. I get the intake form. I ask them about their schedule, about their career. How many kids do you have? How much time do you have? What kind of gym are you at? Are you at home? Are you working out in an office gym? Are you making it to the gym for 45 minutes a few times a week? Like, whatever that looks like, let me just program it and give you structure, because structure gives us that measurability, the data. Structure really ultimately gives you freedom. I think that a lot of people out there who maybe need a coach or need a program, they're looking for structure. They need routine. Because when every day feels a little bit different, everything feels up in the air and you never really feel like you can grasp, you progress really, because it's not measurable. So that's kind of what we do is we on the bodybuilding side of things, there's so much data and there's so much science, to the point of it sometimes being like
Overload,
overwhelming.
yeah.
There's so much. So we just pull just enough of that measurability into the lifestyle program, and we help them basically measure their progress better than just stepping on a scale every now and then and going, oh, I'm a failure, or oh, I'm winning because the scale told me something.
Yeah, I know we talked earlier about goals and how I think that's a big piece of it too, is like helping people define what that is for them. Because
Right.
I remember you talking, and I think we hear this a lot. Oh, I want to be toned.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What does toned mean? Toned means something. I think it's a subjective term. It probably means something completely different to different people. What I think when people are saying toned, I think they're saying what we say conditioning. So we want to see some fullness with some tightness. We want to see some lines, but how much, right?
Well, but even using those words, fullness, tightness. I mean,
Again,
as going back to my infantry officer advanced course and my instructor there who said use precise terms precisely. And the reality is that fullness is not a precise term. Tightness is not a precise term. What fit is not a precise term. These are all going to be specific to you in terms of how you're defining those. You as the lifestyle athlete. And I was just thinking of something when you guys were talking about this, but we live in a microwave culture where people want things now, and we also live in a more is better culture. More data, more like with the workouts. Oh, I wish I could do more. It's not about doing more, people. And we find this with our Olympians as well, as they've spent their life building up to the Olympia doing more. And at this stage in their career, more is not better. It's really getting that precision of what does your body need at this time, not more, need. Really focus on need. And so as we talk about this, Hana, why don't we're a few minutes into this episode, but define what is a lifestyle athlete if you were to define it, since we're talking about defining things. Yeah.
What is at least the FitBody Fusion Lifestyle
Yeah.
athlete? Because I feel like our athletes are just special. So first of all, we're using the term athlete, which that alone, I don't know that a lot of people approaching us for lifestyle coaching even view themselves as an athlete. That's part of what the coach does, is that we believe in every person that comes on this team. We believe in them as an athlete. As you guys are seeing, we're automatically calling them athletes. But a lot of them, I don't think they would
may
ever
have
call
never
them.
stepped foot in the gym.
Yeah. And they might not think of themselves as an athlete at all. So already they're stepping into an environment where someone else, at least they might not be rooting for themselves, but someone else certainly is. And they're rooting for them as an athlete and they're seeing their potential. So we get all kinds of different applications. I mean, the lifestyle athlete could be, like you said, someone who just wants to learn how to work out and just learn some basic habits. Hey, I heard that you guys do macros. I've heard that macros are really great, but I don't know, it's scary. I tried tracking them one time. It was way too much. And we're like, no problem. I can make it easy for you. So there's that, just people who just want better habits. I want to get in better shape. There's people with much more specific goals, like what we'll talk about in the next episode. Like, hey, I've got a wedding next year. I have a client right now who her son's wedding is next year. We're getting her ready for her son's wedding. We have new moms, of course. That's like a whole subset. I feel like that could be a whole. I mean, have you guys done episodes on like postpartum and like
We've
done a couple.
Jessica
little bit.
Quillian,
There's right with Quillian. There's so much content there, and there's so much that we can do there. There are. I mean, we have people who participate in different sports. We have pros in different sports who come to our team who just want the macro precision. They want more tailored training for what they do. Like I coach a few jujitsu practitioners. Their programs look very different from a bodybuilder's program. I can pull some of it, but there's going to be more mobility. There's going to be more conditioning. I'm going to have to be taking a pretty close look at how much jujitsu training they're doing and then fit it in. So again, everything that we do is fitting it into their life. But yeah, I mean, my lifestyle clients are across the board. I have a lot of moms. I have a lot of very busy career women, just like women working on their career, basically just working really hard, trying to fit fitness in. And also, I'll probably talk a lot about women today, but I do have male clients. We do have a lot of men on our team. I do coach mostly women, but I have some really awesome guys. I actually have a client who is in the military, and he has to live on a boat for a lot of the year. On a ship, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Got the military man here keeping you.
Wait, what is it?
Shipmate self. And as I learned, the Army has boats. The Navy has ships.
Okay, he's on a ship.
So
How do you know he's Army?
She's on a ship.
Because if she's on a ship for 6 months, it's a ship.
That's
not an Army.
It ain't a boat.
And like, how much fun is that for me? I don't look at that as a hassle. It's so much fun for me because I go, hey, okay, so we know that because he's been on the ship a few different times in our coaching relationship. He gets on the ship. First thing I say, go talk to the cooks. What are they going to have? So, and every time it's a little bit different. So he'll say, hey, so this time the cooks are going to be focusing more on this, this, and this. This is what they can get. This is what we're going to have. And I go, okay, cool. I can work with that. Here's how we're going to track macros. Here's how you're going to get fiber. Here's how you're going to get protein. And then dealing with training.
Now you're getting a little bit into episode 2.
I know,
Okay,
but this is so interesting.
It's so interesting. So you're teasing it up, which is beautiful. But
lifestyle clients are anyone.
Well, let's break it down by this, and let's pull out some of those elements. So a lifestyle client is an athlete who is in a state of their life where they have specific needs, wants, and goals that they want to achieve. And we are in the business of helping structure an approach to build sustainable, and that sustainable word's a key piece of this, habits and processes to allow them to be the next best version of the very best version of them. Would that be a fairly complete definition?
Yep. And competing
because it's very individualized.
Yeah.
When there is no one definition for a lifestyle athlete. There is your definition, and by your I mean if you're listening to this or watching this, It's who you are and what your needs are. So whether you're in the military, whether you're a jujitsu client, whether you have a wedding, whether you're postpartum, whether you're prepartum,
Whether you've
yeah,
gone to the doctor and
that's
you
right.
and you are at a point where maybe there's a
Some lifestyle changes.
significant amount of weight loss.
Yep.
I mean, I know because I know, talking about that word athlete can be intimidating for people. So maybe somebody is, you know, 50 pounds overweight
Sure.
or more.
Yeah. I've had some incredible weight loss journeys with clients. I've had a few girls lose over 75 pounds. A couple lose over 100, like amazing. And the cool thing, so they come to us usually hearing from a friend or something, or online, but hearing that we are doing things in a better, more sustainable way. And we think really long term, which in the short term sometimes can kind of drive you a little bit crazy as a client. You're like, I want it like right now, like you were saying.
Right.
We think long term. That's what you're getting when you come here. You're going to get strategies for life. You're going to get strategies that you'll use after you even have a coach for years, So, yeah, everything that we do is sustainable. In a lot of the consults I do, I'll jump on a call with a prospective lifestyle client and they'll say, I've tried everything. I hear that so much. I've tried everything. And
Well,
now
then
I'm
let's do
coming to
something.
you. And I go, cool, you've tried everything, but you haven't tried this, and this is what's going to
You
work.
haven't done this.
And
Right.
you haven't done this. We don't say try.
There is no try.
There is no try, but there's so many different diets, and there's different lifestyle habits, and there's different ways to do this. And a lot of the time, they're not getting the best information from the doctor because, I mean, I don't know how much time doctors spend in nutrition training, but I've
very
heard
small amount.
it's not that much. So they need real life skills. And
By the way, that's not a rub on doctors at all.
No, I think it's a fact. I think
The doctors, you just got to go to the right person, right tool for the right job.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add something. I don't think we had thought about talking about this in the second episode, but I think it bears mention here, and then we could talk about it further in the second part. But so I worked in personal injury defense in the personal injury world for 31 years. And I will tell you that there are a number of things that stood out to me, and a number of things that stood out. But one of the things that you just keyed on here was that there were a number of people, and this was both through my practice as a lawyer, but also in the military where I had people that had this happen, guys that had retired, where they were facing a surgery. And oftentimes it was a spinal surgery. Sometimes it was a joint surgery, a hip or knee. And their doctor said, before I will do the surgery, you need to lose a certain amount of weight.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they lose that weight. And then, oh gosh, what else happened? They don't need the surgery anymore. They've taken that extra load off of their body. They've taken that extra stress off their body. They've gotten in better shape. They've corrected whatever the issues were mechanically and physiologically at the root cause, which was the weight. So I don't know if this is a life event surgery. It certainly was for me, and at times I had it. But I want you guys to think about this, and not you guys, because I know you think about it, is that there may be something in your life where, like you said, the doctor tells you need to lose
Right.
weight. You may be facing something that can be corrected by what you may not. It's so easy to get surgery focused. When you go in and a doctor tells you need surgery, okay, you may at that time, but you may be able to avoid that. And again, this is not medical advice, and I want to couch this is not medical advice. I would just have seen this happen in circumstances where people, when you run, you put 2.5 to 4 times your body weight on your joints when you run, when that impact. When you're walking, you're putting at least your body weight, if not more, on a joint. When your body weight is 250 versus 200, do the math.
Yeah.
Okay. And it just is that repetitive impact and load on your joints has a
Right, the
cumulative
simple
effect.
longevity,
Right.
even without an injury,
Right.
this longevity of your joints and your body in general. It's interesting. I was just talking to someone similarly the other day that was, lifestyle, had lost a lot of weight and had a lot of issues with asthma, and that got significantly better without all that extra weight on. So it's just interesting how it is true. Like,
Sleep apnea.
yeah, so many things that,
Right.
can be corrected, and we're not talking only weight loss, of course, because even
Yeah.
a lot of our lifestyle clients aren't even necessarily
Yeah.
needing to lose weight. Maybe they need
to build
more muscle.
Sometimes they come to us needing to build, maybe not always knowing that, because what we teach them, and again, something that we can gain from the competition world, is that the best look on you could weigh more than you think
Mhm.
it does. So, I'll have clients who are 115 and they think that in order to look great, they need to be
At what height?
let's say 5'2".
Okay.
They're 115 and they go, it's just my physique is just not quite what I want. I want that toned look. I want to look
I want
better.
to fit in a
I
certain
want
size.
shape. I want to feel more confident in my body. I want to feel confident in a bikini. Can we go down to 110? And I go, you know, really though, the
Based
best
on how
look
you look.
might be 120 on you. You know what I mean? It might be getting that density, getting that muscle pop, not like competitor level muscles. There's, not like a bulky, but let's just get that little bit of muscle fullness, the shape, the glutes, the legs. When you have a hamstring pop, you feel great in shorts, when you've got the lines in your legs. And oftentimes that comes with more weight.
Right.
I weigh more now
Well,
than
and it's
when
a
I came
different
to you.
composition. So the weight
Yeah.
is less fat, more muscle.
Right.
Right.
Right. So we're kind of we can use what we've learned in bodybuilding to kind of break through all these misconceptions about what we should weigh. And, I feel like a lot of women have been told pretty much since we're born, women are told, you got to weigh less, you got to weigh less, you got to be,
So
you got to be
true.
100 pounds, you got to look like Kate Moss. Like I grew up in the 90s. I thought that Kate Moss smoking
It's
cigarettes
the standard.
and eating salads, that was like the standard, okay, I have to be like rail thin. So we're working through decades of diet culture. And the beautiful thing about bodybuilding, and it's called bodybuilding, is that it tells us that oftentimes growth is what's actually going to give us that look that we want. So we can take that growth mindset and really apply it to the lifestyle clients. We can give them this growth mindset, which I think that the average woman and a lot of men, I mean, men deal with body image and diet culture
Oh,
as well,
100%. I think more so now than ever before.
Yeah.
Define diet culture for us.
I mean, what were you saying in the car? It's like it's a million different things. It's
It
fad diets.
It's the diet du jour.
It's whatever's happening this decade, just like I was saying, in the 90s, it was Kate Moss and cigarettes, and sometimes we're demonizing fat. Oh, now we're demonizing carbs.
Right. We
Oh,
had
now it's
the Atkins diet, and then
Atkins,
later
we had
on that
keto,
became the
then we-
keto, and then
it's always something.
And I will say this, and Hana, we've talked about this with you and your approach to life, which is you're a searcher. You are always you were searching, and I think that there are times when people go through searching and whatever I'm doing right now is the newest and best. It's the end all, is the tell all. And when we were raw vegan food, when we were raw vegan, and then we went from raw vegan to being vegan, and then we went from vegan to being Ayurvedic, and then we went from Ayurvedic to going back to more of an American style diet. What we discovered is there's truth in all of it, but there's no single truth. And at the end of the day, finding what works best for you is going to be the most sustainable. But if you're jumping from fad to fad, man, one of my best army buddies, he would do these things where he would put on weight and then he would do these shakes. He would do these shakes to drop weight, and he'd do it for 3 months. And he dropped the weight, and then boy, slingshot right back and go
and
right
gain
back
even more.
because he wasn't. And I can't tell you how often I talk to him about, dude, you just need to build this. Going from lily pad to lily pad is not sustainable. One time you're going to jump on a lily pad and it's going to collapse underneath you. We got to build something unsustainable for you. And at some point, I think he did for a while, but then he went for the quick fix solution. And the reality of this is that there's no quick fixes that are there
that are
to
worth
build.
it, that are going to give you anything,
Sustainable.
like what you say. If you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done.
right.
Like you've got to change your approach and do it in a better way. And also, when you are jumping from fad to fad, you are never gaining trust. You're never gaining trust in yourself. You're never gaining that feeling of control. Like from what I've learned from bodybuilding, even if I were to never compete again, I feel as though I have full control over my physique at any given time. And I feel like, I think I will feel that way forever.
Did you read my check-ins yesterday?
I feel certain.
No. Did you? Were you talking about this?
Well, I was talking about, somebody was saying their word for the week was intuitive. And if you're listening to this, you know who you are. And it was a great thing. And what we put back in the check-in response was intuitiveness builds confidence. Confidence builds trust. these things are interrelated. The Venn diagram would be overlapping all three of those, is that you can't have one without the other. When you get to a certain level of habitual formation where, and I saw you do it for years after you stopped tracking your macros, is that you look at a food and you can look at your plate and tell me exactly basically what was the macro content of that, because you had done it for so long that you
And she
trusted
can trust
yourself.
that, and she doesn't have to
And I think
panic.
that's so, because this person is lacking in confidence.
Mm.
It's one of the things that we've been working on. And when you start trusting yourself, you'll find that the confidence will
Totally.
evolve from that.
Yeah.
These are interrelated concepts. They're not
Right.
like how you approach your lifestyle in terms of nutrition is not different. It's your life. It's what we talk about lifestyle. It's not just one component, it's the holistic person. It's why in the formation of Fit Body Fusion, fusion really was the descriptor of bringing heart, mind, body, soul into this, because it's not any one of those things, it's all of those things.
Yeah, we really are a fusion of a million different things. Yeah,
Mhm.
and to build the confidence and the trust, you can really only do that through action. It really is a series of little actions, and your coach is who sometimes kind of pushes you to take those actions. You know, for my clients who are scared of going out and eating at restaurants. You know, they think that it's going to derail their progress. They don't know the composition of the food. There's just an unknown factor because they did not cook it themselves and they feel like they could maybe fail. You know, there's a possibility of some sort of a failure. I make them do it. I say, sometimes I have to assign it. Sometimes I say, this week, you're going out to eat at one restaurant. You're going to share the menu with me. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what you track. And we're just going to keep doing this until you realize that you've got it. And then I want you to be the most confident, expert level restaurant tracker. Like you and I, we feel like we can go to any restaurant. We can go to any place in the world. We can hit our macros. It's fine. We don't have to panic about it. There's no anxiety about it. There's no stress. Sometimes we have to get a little bit crafty, a little bit creative. Sometimes we got to talk to a server. You know, it's all good. But we know that we're in control. And that's the feeling that I want to give to my lifestyle clients. I want to give them that feeling of control. Not this kind of control, not like I got to control everything, but the feeling that you can trust yourself and you can stay in control on this journey. And nothing's going to happen that's going to throw you off so much that you can never bounce back. You know, there's going to be events and things are going to happen, and you're going to go on a trip. You're going to come back. You're going to jump on the scale. Oh, it's 2 pounds up because you flew. You've got some water weight. But the level-headed lifestyle athlete goes, that's fine, I just flew. I'll check in with myself in a few days. My body's going to regulate. I'm going to get right back on my consistent plan. I've got this. And I want my lifestyle clients to feel that way rather than going,
I know, as you're talking about, thinking about the song "Hold On Loosely" and don't
Right,
let
but
go.
don't let go. Yeah,
If you squeeze too
Yes.
tightly, you're going to lose
Yes,
control.
exactly. Right.
That's my line.
No, I love it. You know, as you're talking too, I'm thinking back to us talking about diet culture. And when I think of diet culture, what I think about is extreme.
Yeah.
You cannot have this.
Yeah.
You can only do this.
'Cause that's what sells.
Exactly.
That's what makes money.
If you only eat these 3 things, you're going to be successful. If you never eat those types of things, you're going to be successful. And what I love that I hear you saying is that, first of all, they never succeed. And that's why, you know, diet culture, we jump from fad to fad to fad to diet to diet to diet, because yes, they work. They all work in the beginning.
For a second.
Because, well, and in
Yeah.
reality, really, most diets, all diets are designed to create a
calorie
deficit.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
So
It's
we're just creating a deficit
Yeah.
through extreme measures. So
Yeah.
what you're talking about is creating a situation where you have a very strong understanding of what you're doing, of how you're intaking things, and then what you're putting out, so that you can then control whether you're in a deficit or a surplus, depending on what your goals are at the time, and be comfortable with that. And it doesn't have to be perfect
No,
to
it
be
really doesn't have to
successful, because there
Doesn't
is
have to
no
be
such thing.
extreme
Because there's no
either.
such thing as perfect, right?
There is not even, not for anyone,
I
not
mean,
for
look at the
anyone on our
macros
team.
for chicken.
Yeah.
You're going to get 5 different answers if you Google that.
Right.
I mean, there.
Right.
So
It's just
even within
consistency,
Whole
though.
Foods,
Yeah.
that's not like, you know, the same. We think about a chicken breast. Well, how was that chicken raised? Maybe it's got a little more sodium, a little less
Right.
fat. Like, we start getting into the minutia, and people
Yeah.
who, I feel like people can get hung up on that. So I like that when you're talking about lifestyle, it's really understanding how to apply the concepts in a way that is livable. Interested in changing your life or stepping on stage? Join FitBody Fusion today.
Experience the FitBody Fusion difference with tools, knowledge, and community support to reach your healthy and sustainable lifestyle.
We guide thousands on their fitness journeys, from seasoned athletes to those who are simply seeking a healthier life.
Our expert coaches provide personalized plans and unwavering support, empowering you to thrive.
FitBody Fusion is more than just training. It's a community. We understand the challenges of solo fitness journeys, which is why we foster a supportive environment where members encourage and motivate each other.
Join the FitBody Fusion community today and unlock your full potential.
Head to fitbodyfusion.com to sign up for a free consultation.
And do it today.
It's not extreme. It's not a roller coaster. Like, I tell a lot of people on consult calls, I'm like, get off the roller coaster. Come hang out with me. It's a little bit more boring. It's not this, but boring is good. And what we do, boring is great. Having a week where you check in with your coach and you're like, honestly, not too much to report. Here's where I'm at in my cycle. Got my macros, my workout's done. I got some good sleep, feeling okay. It's a great check-in. When there's like not really much to talk about, that can actually be a great check-in, because that means consistency, and consistency is boring. Sustainability is boring. To us, it's not boring, but in the terms of diet culture and the extremes, and you got to do this, you got to do this. Like yesterday, I saw a clip of a podcast. It's two people sitting like this talking about like toxic foods. And this woman was like, almonds are the most toxic thing you could eat. No one here should be eating almonds. And I commented, I was like, of all the things to focus on, are these the messages that we want to be are these the things like the minutia that we want people to be focusing on, when we just need just high level, consistent, sustainable habits? So, and that's what we work on. And sometimes we have to, as coaches, we have to have some really tough conversations with our clients, because they are so stuck in that mindset, because they have been hearing these things for so long. Oh, you got to do keto, carbs are bad, whatever. And we have to have these conversations
like
with them
scare
and go,
tactics.
Yeah, and go like, hey, I need you to trust me. Again, trust in your coach and in yourself. I need you to trust me and try this out. And not try it out, do this, execute this plan. And every time they do execute the plan, they always end up coming back to us in their check-in a few weeks later, and they go, wow, this is working really great. I'm really happy with how this is going.
I always love when people go, wow, you're magic.
Yeah,
people say that all the time.
What is this magic? Yeah, and where it's like macro magic, And the crazy thing about macros are, again, macros as a concept, as a principle, there's nothing to make money off of. Calories in, calories out. There's nothing to make money off of. It's just a principle. There's no product to sell. You can certainly spend money on a coach and that, for that guidance, but otherwise it's like, there's no like, oh, this is a macro protein bar that you have to buy to hit macros. It's just a really simple concept that works, and that's why we love it. And that's why I'm always like screaming about it from the rooftops and trying to just tell everyone how awesome macros are, because there's just nothing crazy about it. There's nothing profitable about it. And I think that that's why we don't hear that macros being pushed by a lot of people, or even by doctors. They're like, hey, I would love for you to start on this medication, and you're like, cool, tell me about macros. And they're like, what? It doesn't make money. So I'm all for it, and that's why I really trust what we do, because again, it's not flashy, it's not extreme, but man, does it work.
Well, I want to say that, like, the interesting thing listening to you talk, I think about, I'm living in the body that I dreamed of when I started competing. I'm living in the lifestyle that I didn't think was possible when I first started down the road of competing. I started competing because I wanted to look a certain way. I saw people that I want to look like that, which I think a lot of our lifestyle people come into it for the same thing. Like, wow, they look so great. I'd love to look like that. And the interesting thing is that I had been on, at 55 years old, I've been in diet culture for many years. I've rode all the roller coasters. Gosh, I can remember my grandmother doing the grapefruit. That was the grapefruit and then the cabbage soup diets. they they run the gamut. And the interesting thing is, and when Greg was talking about, I can look at my plate now. I don't ever log my food anymore, and I'm very aware. I'm able to eat intuitively. I'm able to look at my plate and go, okay, I have enough protein. I have my fiber and my veggies. I have a nice
Mhm.
carbohydrate source, some healthy fats. I can also go, hey, I feel like having a cookie today.
Yeah.
You
And I'll
know
be mindful of that later on in the evening. Maybe I won't then have a pint of ice cream.
exactly,
There's just this constant awareness. And a lot of what we do is setting up future successful intuitive eaters. And I talk about that a
exactly.
lot of the time with my
Yes,
clients. I'm like, back to the restaurant thing. I'm like, hey, I'm pushing you to do this because someday you're not going to have me. And someday I want you to be an intuitive eater. And do you really want to track macros? You really want to be 70 on your phone on my fitness pal? You
exactly.
know, by then I will have long broken up with my fitness pal.
which
I
is
can't,
which is exactly
you know,
where I am. Like all
yeah.
those years of tracking have,
Yeah.
Built
You
the
shouldn't have to
foundation.
track forever,
Yeah.
and if we keep holding people to these extreme plans, yeah, they're going to need those extreme plans forever. They're going to need the lily pads forever. But ideally, I like to set people up with skills so that eventually they can be really well informed intuitive eaters. And by the way, being an intuitive eater is not just I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. Like think that you really need a solid foundation of macro training, macro tracking, being an expert in macros first. So build the foundation with a
right.
coach. And then someday you're going to be like, man, I can go to any event. I know where I'm at. I know at the end of the day, I can kind of mentally go, I should probably have a little bit more protein. I was a little bit behind on protein today. Let me just slam a little shake or have a chicken breast or something. Or you might say, ooh, I was actually a little bit low on fats. So it's just knowing what your body needs. You're not really going to know that unless you follow through consistently with a data-driven measurable plan. But it's really like
What
anything. It's
gets
like,
measured gets done.
yeah, and like
It's a stepping
when we
stone.
want great things in life though, there's the upfront work. That's for anything,
Hmm.
that applies to anything. So do that bit of work up front, be on a program like this, and then eventually there's going to be a lot of freedom. You're going to gain freedom, but
Right.
freedom takes
You're putting
work
you put your time
first.
in. It's anything you want in life, which is
Yeah.
exactly what you said. Anything you want in life, you go through the
You got to work for
training.
it.
Yeah.
You think about uh you go through medical school,
Yeah.
then you got to do your
Yeah,
residency.
you want to be a doctor?
Then you're
Yeah.
eventually practicing.
Yeah.
And now you have those tools, all those things that you've learned. You don't need to go back and relearn things. You're applying them now every day.
Right.
And I agree. I mean, it's like you put in that time to first learn, then implement, then create, I mean, habits, which
Yeah.
of course is the biggest thing.
Right.
Once you got all those three things in place, then freedom is what you
Right.
have. And that's exactly what I was saying is like, I feel like after going through that for myself, like I feel like now I have freedom. And what you said is so perfect because intuitive eating is not just like a free for all.
Yeah.
It's coming at it from an educational understanding of what does my body need? How
Mhm.
am I going to do that? How can I balance that with the things I might like to have?
Mhm. Yep.
It's I'm going to a party. I want to be able to have a glass of wine or a cocktail or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
And we're
you
cool
know,
with that. Like with our lifestyle clients, of course, we want it to be lifestyle. We want there to be balance. I encourage my clients to go to events and enjoy these things. And of course, like right now, they're not tracking on Thanksgiving, they're not tracking on Christmas. Even the clients who were like, well, I mean, don't you think that I should? I'm like, no, I want you to put your phone away and hang out with your family. So like, but at the same time, hey, I'm going to hold you to staying consistent throughout the week ahead of that because we earned that freedom. We earned that flexibility.
That's why we don't believe in cheat meals. We believe in
Yeah.
earned meals,
Yeah.
and you can earn those through your behaviors and your habits. And I just wrote down a couple things, which is one thing that we didn't really talk about, which is inside of every lifestyle athlete there resides a competitor. And whether you want to get on stage, whether you don't even know that you want to get on stage, we've seen a lot of our lifestyle athletes convert to
Yeah. Same.
wanting to be a
Yeah.
competitor. And what you talked about before we were on air today is that
and a lot of our competitors convert to lifestyle.
that's true. That's true. And depending on the stage of their life, right? The season of their life. When, after I competed, I still maintain that discipline and that training approach. And you told me and told Hana today that one of the things that attracted to me was that I lived that lifestyle.
Right. Well, because
And
when I met you, I wasn't there yet. I
right.
wasn't there where you were. I wanted to be where you were.
Okay.
You lived that lifestyle because it was your lifestyle. I was still living it because I had a goal to get on stage or something else. And I
Mhm.
admired and was attracted so much to that about you.
That you could
And
do it without that
Yes.
right.
deadline,
Well,
without
and it
that
was
I
it was
wanted to be like
flashy
him.
goal.
it was
Yeah.
always one of the best compliments anybody could pay me is that when I'd be in the gym, hey, are you competing? And it would be for different things, but just having somebody ask that of me was to me the payoff. That was greater than any trophy or anything else. I didn't need that, but it certainly
Mhm.
helped motivate me and keep me going. But I mean, the drive to do all that stuff was really me driven because I just liked that. I liked how it made me feel. I liked the challenge of it. When you say, I know that we talked on the way here is that sometimes lifestyle athletes struggle with the goal. Like, what's the goal? And we'll talk about life events in part two. But
Mhm.
man, the goal can simply be that I want to be the next best version of the very best version of me.
Yeah, I wanna be
And
better than
I
I
want
was
to,
last year.
what there was this look good naked thing meme that
Yeah.
went around, and I don't
And
know if
there's
it still goes
nothing
around,
wrong with
I think
that.
it was
but
24-hour fitness's
yeah,
slogan.
Nothing
yeah.
wrong with wanting to look good
And no,
naked or look
and
good in a
so
bikini or,
and being able to look yourself in the mirror and say, man, look at what I did.
Yeah.
That is better than any trophy. And I'll tell you, we deal with body dysmorphia a ton in the bodybuilding world where people just don't truly see themselves. That's one of the things that I really love about lifestyle athletes is that when they see that transformation, when they see what they can do with their body, they're genuinely proud of what they've accomplished. And that's
Yeah.
enough. I mean,
Yeah.
that, and I do think there's great power in that. We talked a little bit about perfectionism. And listen, there's an old saying about time being a human construct, and you can watch any sci-fi movie that deals with time, and they'll talk about, well, time is a human construct. It's there to provide context, and it's true. And perfectionism is a human construct.
Yeah.
What is perfect to me may be different than what's perfect for you or what's for you. If your standard is perfection, then I would tell you take that word out and focus on the specifics, which is what we talked about here. What are the if you want to look fit, specifics? What does looking fit? Oh, it means fitting into these pair of jeans that I had in high
Mhm.
school, or whatever that is.
Here. Yeah.
What are those specifics that define? Let's take perfect off the table for a minute. Let's just define what success looks like, what better looks like for you.
Yeah.
And then you said magic, and it just reminded me of a quote from Arthur C. Clarke, which is any sufficiently sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And I think about that with the data because this is just data. This is just science. This is
Yeah.
just this approach to thing. And if it's like magic, fine. It's like magic. But I do think, in this world where technology is pretty advanced, but the technology that we have today is so much more advanced than it was 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, that, what we see now, if you just came into the world right now, you think, oh my God, it's magic. And I think somebody coming from if my parents were still alive and they were to see AI and what it can do, they'd be like, that's magic.
Mhm.
What
To
we're doing
us,
is
it's
not
just
magic.
science.
And
Yeah.
really what it is behavior,
Mhm.
it's data, it's the amalgamation of all these things that come together: your needs, your wants, who you are as a person, how you're motivated, how willing you are to really work for your goal.
Mhm.
In the competition world, you guys know this, is that the competitors who we've had athletes who start that want to compete and they can't hit their macros or won't hit their macros. Well, and you can even switch them to a meal plan and they'll do the meal plan for 6 weeks and then, oh my God, I got so bored with the same meals. And this is about that daily repetition, that daily that daily habit forming. The data says anywhere from 3 to 6 months for a habit to really take root. I would tell you in our world, it's probably closer to 6 months to really adopt the lifestyle and see what it can generate for you.
Mhm.
I think some people, early adopters, may be closer to the 3 months. Some people can be on the 9 weeks level, but it's
Some people are on the 2-year
some
level.
people are on the
And
2 year level.
at
Yeah.
the same time, so my favorite quote that applies to literally everything that maybe everyone's heard me say is, the more you do it, the more you do it. I feel momentum with habits, whether they're like locked in or not by 6 months. I feel the momentum within
Hmm.
days because the more I do it, the more I do it. So let's say I go, okay, I got to get back into 4:30 a.m. workouts. It's just going to work out best for my schedule. Okay, first day is going to suck. Second day is going to suck. Third day, I might automatically wake up at 4. Fourth day, I might be a little bit excited to actually get in there. The more I do it, the more I do it. And the same goes for sleeping in, right? So like positive and negative things. So, but we generate our own momentum, which again, and I actually think that this is really important that we touch on with our lifestyle clients. We teach them how to bust out of this idea that they need motivation to do anything.
Mm,
Motivation is bullshit. I'm sorry,
right.
but like it really is. And
I
that's
wouldn't go so
like,
far to say it's
I think it's
bullshit.
bullshit.
I
I
would
think
say that it's
searching for
It comes
motivation, I
and
think
goes.
is
It comes and
yeah.
goes. It's,
yeah, we rely on discipline, but also we generate our own motivation, and that's just through that momentum, you know.
And that's what I will adopt with you is that everybody says what's more important, discipline or motivation. And some people say, and I've heard this school of thought say, well, motivation doesn't matter. Well, it does. It does matter in the sense that discipline will serve you when motivation is lacking. And there has got to be some why behind that
Right.
drives discipline.
like,
And
I think, and I'll be the in between.
Okay, okay.
What I would offer is that when you say motivation's bullshit, I agree in the way that I think a lot of people think it's
Yeah.
supposed to just land in my lap. I'm just sitting
Yeah,
here and
that.
whoop, there's motivation.
Oh, I'm motivated to go work out.
Right.
Like,
That's
well,
that's
then we all agree on that.
that's where I think
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I think, what I hear you saying, or what I think of when I think of it. And because I do think a lot of people are just sitting there waiting for motivation to just drop in their lap, and all of a sudden they're going to get up and go.
yeah.
You know.
I like momentum over motivation. I generate my own momentum.
Right.
Whichever direction I'm going, which can, again, it can be a positive direction or a negative direction.
sure.
But I like the idea of momentum, and I like the idea of just one good decision at a time. And that's where a coach can hold you accountable.
Well, and being present in that moment, I think, I hear people talk about, well, it was, I checked all the boxes, and it's like, okay, I get where that comes from. That's part of that's part of what I don't like about the discipline is people think they can just check the boxes. In my mind, if you're checking the boxes and you're not present while you're doing them, then you're not really building sustainability. You're just going through the motions. And then I do find that motivation really falters in that circumstance because you are just solely reliant on checking the boxes and you're not present in what you're doing.
And I will offer a thought of, as you
You can disagree too.
No, I'm
Okay.
not disagreeing. I think we're all agreeing. It's just kind of a different way of looking at it, is that sometimes even just checking the boxes can create the momentum that Hana is talking
Right.
about,
Yeah.
that turns into motivation,
Mhm.
because now I start seeing the results.
Right. When you see the results like that, so first it's like you get the momentum going, and then you start to see the results. And then someone in the gym goes, wow, you look really good. And like now, like you're motivated,
Right. So that's the thing.
in some way. You
Right.
might not be motivated to wake up really early and go to the gym. That's where the discipline kicks in. That's where I do it because it's a non-negotiable for me. It's like creating more non-negotiables. Like to me, my macros are non-negotiables. Training is a non-negotiable, and there's going to be like very few exceptions, and it's kind of getting people a little bit into that area where there's more things that are just non-negotiables for them. Their friend goes, oh, come on, you should have a drink. Oh, have another drink. Come on. And if your health is a non-negotiable, or if maybe drinking less is a non-negotiable, you're fine with having boundaries. But when things are a little bit negotiable, you go, well, okay.
Especially if you've had
right.
some recent success, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with somebody who is a newbie and they just started adopting the lifestyle and they have success?
I just want.
Okay, sorry, babe.
Can I just wrap this
Yep.
up? I'm so sorry. I want to go there, but I just wanted to add one additional thing that I think is really important. I also feel like sometimes what you think your motivation is, or what you think, is going to change. So I think a little bit about sometimes, that goal is, I just want to look so good. I want people to notice I'm fit, things like that. But then as you start to do it, as you start to check your boxes, as you start to get your momentum, as you start to build up motivation for the things that you thought were going to be exciting, you actually start finding out, I feel better. I'm not tired anymore. When I wake up, it's not as hard to get up because my body has more energy. I'm stronger. I'm healthier. I feel better. I think that's a really interesting aspect of it, is that you start getting motivated by things maybe you didn't think you were going to be, which is just like, I think about that for myself. Like, I started slacking a little bit on just movement and exercise and things like that. And my digestion got sluggish. And it wasn't really something I attributed to that. And then as I started getting back into the gear, I was like, wow, my
Well,
digestion's
things are
fixed.
moving. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's just kind of
And you feel so
interesting.
good.
That's
Yeah.
just an interesting thing I wanted to throw out is sometimes what we think our motivation is
Hmm.
is gonna change.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even like with age as well, and when we start to think maybe more about longevity or maybe more about preventing injury and illness and all of that. Um, and I think that self worth comes into play a lot, which I
Yes.
feel like could be its
100%.
own podcast, but there's a lot. Self worth is huge in all of this. Believing that you deserve better is a huge part of this. And that's why a lot of these people come to this team is and I think it's so cool, and I like to recognize that is that they they're saying, "No, I deserve the best.
Right.
I deserve
I give
this."
to everyone and everything else in my life. This is my
Yeah,
opportunity to give to
yeah.
myself.
And
And
when I see the perfectionism, that can lead to self-sabotage.
Mhm.
You really have
And
to
I'm not
believe.
enough. Yeah. We
Yeah,
see that all the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was going to ask you about the momentum and motivation is
Yeah.
still on that train of thought. Is it, what do you do when you start with somebody and they start adopting the principles and lifestyle? Success, 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 6, 7 weeks of that. And then,
Mhm.
oh gosh, the scale tipped up. Oh gosh, the next week the scale tipped up. I mean, first time you contextualize it, they flew, whatever,
Mhm.
but then it keeps going up.
Mm.
What do you do with that?
Well, first of all, as a coach, it's my responsibility to make a change. If something, if we're not moving towards our goal and they're adhering to the plan, then I just need to make a change, of course. So that's when we change macros, we change trainings, we might give them more recovery. It really depends on what the person needs. So we have to dig deep and figure out first of all what's going on. Are they adhering to the plan? Like, are there any issues with adherence? Can I help them with a challenge? Has there been a challenge lately? Have they been getting a little bit, maybe the complacency can kind of come into it. But when there's complacency or when they start to fall off, I usually find it's attributed to something else. There's usually something else going on. There's usually a life stressor. Sometimes I'll just be like, let's jump on a call. And I'll be like, how are things going? How's work? Well, it's been really tough lately. Oh, interesting. So you've been kind of staying up at night a little bit more lately. You're not sleeping as well. So we really have to dig. So first we have to check on adherence, health. Maybe we might need labs. It might be time for labs. Like lifestyle clients need to get labs done too. They're not just for bodybuilders. So it depends. A lot of the time I have to jump on a call with them and just get more context about their life. And I'll figure out, is this the time to make a change? So I was talking to a client yesterday and we've been talking about a new approach for her macros. And I said, "Hey, I love this. We're going to do this. However, this week, Christmas week, not the time. I'm not implementing this. I'm not going to implement something new that requires more of you during this week when you're traveling to go be with your family. I'm not going to layer on a really advanced, macro strategy. Let's reconvene after Christmas." So it's just about getting more information and just seeing where they're at. And is it an adherence issue or something else? And a lot of the time it's something mental, it's stress related.
Well, and the question that came to my mind with Greg's question is, why are you so fixated on the scale?
That was part of what I wanted to get to with this is
Yeah.
that if you're defining your success week to week as the scale, then the scale is a data point.
That's not a measure of
It's a
success.
data point. And especially when you're a lifestyle athlete, and like you talked about 115 versus, well, you may actually look at 120. Getting people beyond that fixation. We have talked. I hate to reveal my grand scheme and my grand idea, but if you're a psychology student out there,
Uh-oh.
a doctoral student, and you want to do a study, this is the study I want to do. And I've told you about this. I want to take 100 people or 200 people, and I want to give half of them, and I want to do an intake thing about where you are psychologically, how happy, whatever, all that stuff. So we have a baseline, and I'm not sure if I'm adhering exclusively to the scientific method on this, but I think I am, because we need to have a control group, right? So we need to have 3 groups. One group that weighs themselves daily and looks at that number. One group that they step on a pad, that number goes somewhere or it goes nowhere. They have no idea what that
can't see
number is.
it.
They
Okay.
can't see it.
Yeah.
It's either if
I
they're
bet this is
coached.
done- I bet this has been done.
They're probably the
if you're
group
if
2 is the happier group, first of all.
well, is it
The
though?
ones that
Well,
aren't.
is it? And I don't know. This is what I want to. This is what I want to
Probably.
assess. Is it so? Group 2 they just don't know what that weight is, and then Group 3 is the control group where they're just doing their
Okay.
normal thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you at the end of a month or 2 months, whatever that time period is, you look at their psychological profile, same questionnaire, and you ask them how they feel.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious because I think so many people, it's amazing to me. I get so many people who they jumped a pound or 2 pounds, whatever. If it's a female that they have their cycle, okay, well they jump to. I have one athlete who jumps 2 to 2.5 pounds every time she has a cycle.
That's almost all my
not
clients.
uncommon, right?
And myself. Yeah.
But in her mind, oh my God, and then. Oh, by the way, did you remember you're on your cycle?
We normalize it for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and we just have to put that context because they're not thinking about they're looking at the scale.
Yeah.
And so I really would like to dive into that. The scale, and we've talked about this a little bit about, like, you guys were both wearing Aura rings today, and the data can be overwhelming, which is a point that you made. The data is meant to be gamified, meaning that the people look at their Aura ring score as the determiner of, oh, my sleep score says I'm at this and I'm well rested, therefore I must be well rested. Oh, my sleep score says
feel
I'm
great.
not, that I'm not well
Right, how
rested.
do you
And
feel?
yeah, and it's like, I love the data, but the data is not the decision maker. And if you feel differently than what your data says, then you need to go with that. If you're feeling different than what the scale says, if you're fitting into your genes, even though the scale says you're 2 pounds up,
Right.
then again, you're
And
winning.
that's why we use measurements and we use photos. And those are 2 parts of the check-in that make the complete check-in. And if a client sends me their check-in and there's no measurements, I say, hey, you got to upload your measurements. I need those and I need your photos because the scale is an extremely flawed measurement tool. It's not a measure of success. It's a measure of
data point.
It's a data point, and it's just, what does your body weigh? It's not how much body fat do you have. It's just, what does this body weigh today, which is influenced by how much sodium I ate yesterday, how much water I drank, how much I slept, did I poop this morning? Like, there's a million different things.
You have athletes who do the body fat percentage too.
Yeah, and I'm always just like, all right.
Those are super flawed
They're
as well.
super flawed. I got one where somebody was up like a quarter of a pound, and the body fat measurement was 2% over what their previous measurement had been. It's like this is not
flawed.
helpful. Yeah,
Yeah, with the DEXA scans.
it's a data point,
If
but
somebody ever wants to test that out, what I tell them to do, if they get all wrapped around that, is I'm like, go get on that scale 3 different times on the same day and see how much your body fat percentage changes. Like your body fat,
Due to hydration, I think, right?
it's 100%
Hydration is a
has to do
big-
with
Well, it's
hydration.
the-
So the more hydrated you are, because it sees all water as lean body mass. So then it would
Right,
create a
not just
higher
muscle.
percentage of lean body mass with more water in your body. So typically, if you're hydrating through the day, your body fat should go down through the day. It should be its highest in the morning. But regardless, it just shows how truly flawed it is, because depending on how dehydrated, the more dehydrated you are, the better, the better it's, or the worse it's going to look. Excuse me. But I did want to say one thing in terms of the weight. And I think this is a good lesson for everybody. And then I do think we should wrap it up.
We
because
should,
we do.
yep.
But for me personally, I do believe I started as one of those people that would freak out, or I'd be happy or sad or whatever, depending on what the scale was. And I do think most people fall into that category. And if you can shift into seeing it as a data point and then thinking about how different things are affecting, I really started learning a lot about my body of
Get
like,
curious. Be
Yes,
curious rather than
yes.
judgmental.
yes, I remember.
Curiosity, it gets really interesting, actually. If you look at your
It
weight and you
does.
look at how it fluctuates due to various things,
Right.
now it's actually really interesting what you get to learn about your body.
And you can have
And-
fun with it.
Yeah, I'll go into people's MyFitnessPal. Their weight goes up. There's not really I'm not seeing an obvious reason. I pop into MyFitnessPal. Most of the time, what I see is there was a big swing in fiber, or there was a big swing in sodium.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. Like,
There's always a
I'll-
reason,
I'll never
you know.
forget, I was thinking, okay, I'm hitting my macros. It was new. Macros were new for me. And I had gone to eat sushi and I had a seaweed salad. which has, and I didn't use any soy sauce or anything like that has sodium. I wasn't thinking about it was 2,000 milligrams or something of sodium. Well, I was up several pounds the next day.
Yeah.
Well, then I figured that out and I was like, oh, wow. Or when I first started, really learning about, what I'm doing now, like you wake up in the morning, say you wake up at 3 a.m., jump on the scale, go back to sleep, wake up at 6 a.m.
Oh, it's super different. Yeah.
It's going to be completely different, right? And we're
Right.
talking about 3 hours of sleep. So anyway, I did want to just bring that up if,
And
if
the
you can be
question
curious.
also that here's how bodybuilders think. Here's how competitive bodybuilders think. They went out and ate the sushi. They wake up the next morning, the scale's up, and they go, damn, I look good because I'm filled out. I got that sodium pop. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's the difference in how a lot of bodybuilders are thinking. They're looking for, because again, we're looking for growth. We're looking for that pop. And a lot of the time that comes from the scale going up. Like during my peak week, a lot of the time we need the scale to go up for me to fill out and look how I look on stage. So that's how they think. And I can kind of bring a little bit over to my lifestyle clients and I can go, yeah, but did you look at your glutes this morning? Because look at these two photos, last week versus today. Yeah, you had a bunch of sodium last night. You're up 2 pounds, but holy moly, those glutes, you are looking great. And it just kind of reframes it, just kind of respins it for them.
And they're learning.
Now they're not only are they thinking more positively, but they're actually learning about their bodies. And maybe they use that tactic for a photo shoot or something down the road. Now they've learned a little tool that they can use, kind of a sneaky thing that the average person would never even be willing to try.
Right.
Bodybuilders are willing to take risks that most people are not willing to. So lifestyle clients, let the bodybuilders be the guinea pigs. Learn from that. Take from that. We'll test all kinds of stuff out on ourselves. It's whatever, but learn, you get to take little tidbits from that, which is cool.
That's a perfect segue.
It is. Checkout word. Or do we want to do this first?
So,
Before
right,
you do
so-
your check. Okay.
No, I just wanted to say the segue is that our next episode is going to be talking about specific things. And then,
Yeah.
you just mentioned a photo shoot. So that'll be something we talk about. So different goals you might have as a
Right, life
lifestyle.
events.
Yes. So that's the segue. And
That's
then
okay. Well, tell people how to get a hold of you.
Instagram or email is usually the best way. I have a bio on the FitBody Fusion website where you can read a little bit about me and you can submit an application if you want to chat with me. We do, of course, free consultation calls. But for the most part, either email me or find me on Instagram at Hana _DeVore. And it's HANA.
And it's DEVORE.
It is.
High definition. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then your checkout word.
Check out word. I'm a little hot. A
Okay.
little sweaty.
All right.
I'm under these lights.
Hot and sweaty. Okay.
and
All right. Those are interesting ones. We'll go with that. Okay.
I get revved up by talking too. So
You know what really makes me hot and sweaty? Is when people comment, subscribe, and leave their review on the podcast.
Oh,
That makes
very
me
hot.
hot and sweaty.
Very hot.
I don't know if that worked. Anyway, that was
I liked it.
I was kind of awkward for me. I don't know if it was awkward for you. Then you can still comment,
go ahead
subscribe,
and
and
like
leave
and
your review.
subscribe, though, yeah.
Because awkward is good. That's we're in the business of awkward. I don't even
You
know
are.
where I'm at. I gotta stop. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. And remember the 4 B's. Are you ready to join us in the 4 B's? We added a B.
no, I'm not
Okay,
ready.
but do you know what the 3 B's are?
be good to yourself.
Be good to yourself. Be
good to yourself. You can do one of them.
I don't know.
Be good to each
Be good to each other.
There, good. Let's do this again. Okay.
Be good to yourself.
Be good to each other.
Be kind.
Be safe.
There you go.
safe.
Those are the 4.
You said them out of order, but that's okay.
That's okay. Hey, it's the 4 B's in any order because they are all priorities. Okay. Take care, everybody. Tune in next time.
Thank you for tuning in to FitBody Lifestyle. We hope today's episode has left you feeling motivated and equipped to tackle your fitness goals, business challenges, and the daily dance of life. Remember to value progress over perfection. Life's tough enough alone. Find the chosen family around you to help you along the way.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at FitBody Fusion.